Welcome. It's August 25th, 2020. I'm Joe Weston, and we're here for our weekly online Reviving the Global Heart practice. How'd that sound? So we're rebranding from the Lasting Peace meditation to Reviving the Global Heart practice. And just feels more active to me, something that's like, oh, okay, what does that mean, reviving the global heart? And we've been talking about that. And these sessions are, again, we come together in community, people who have been coming regularly. We've been doing this for over 2 years now, meeting every Tuesday. So those of you who've been here for that long, it's great to be on this journey with you and seeing familiar faces from way back from 2 years ago. It's nice to see you back. And always to see new faces and new hearts to join us in this. And it's this idea of, with so much going on in the world, and we get so bombarded in social media and the media and all of that in our discussions around the challenges and what's been harmful. This idea of gathering as a global community from our hearts and understanding the power of the heart to weave through the world a golden thread of lasting peace. And working from this idea of, if you think about the idea of reviving the global heart, I guess if you go along with that idea, there's something that has to be revived. And in a sense, looking at what's currently happening in the world, without blaming any particular thing or group of people or ideology, just the struggles that we're going through could be an indication, like a doctor would say, here are your symptoms, or someone would say, here are my symptoms, and go to someone and say, what's going on? And the doctor would say, based on these symptoms, I would conclude this. So the conclusion I'm making is that, and this is what I'm writing in the new book I'm writing, Fierce Civility, Reviving the Global Heart, coincidentally, is this idea of that our extreme polarization has got us in such a standstill that it's like two rams pushing against each other. And that's like, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. And that in that, there's a lot of energy.
Transonite plan as well.
There's a lot of energy going into not really getting anywhere. And that we're stuck in this pattern that people think of polarization as being apart, that on some level it is from our ideology. But in the practice of it is we're ramming our ideas and we're combating other sides that we have created. And that's a lot of energy going into something and not seeing the results. And it's, for those of you here who are from Holland, I always use that reference, is that in Dutch, the word for cardiac arrest is stilstand, which literally translated, still being still, stand is like stand, so it's like stand still, the heart is standing still. And just imagine what it does to the whole system when the heart is standing still, or the heart isn't functioning well. It's not, the blood's not flowing, it's not pumping, it's not receiving nutrients, it's not releasing nutrients, it's not receiving toxins to release toxins, and everything is just getting stuck and stagnant. So what we're doing here is like, we're the defibrillators. We're here to, in this practice on a regular basis, to wake up that sense of our highest values as human beings, reminding ourselves of what that is. Working from this idea that coming from your heart doesn't mean you have to love someone, doesn't mean you have to agree with someone. It doesn't mean you have to believe their ideology. It simply means coming from your heart that first thing you want to do is make sure you're safe and that you're well, and that you activate a certain level of curiosity and compassion. And then on some level, imagine if we were all to do that, that it's not the end result, but there's no way to get to the end result if we don't start with the beginning point. So reviving the global heart is a practice of just getting to that beginning point, of overcoming the ideologies, the mind stuff, the intellectual stuff that's keeping us from remembering that when I tap into my humanity and I connect with your humanity, we find that we have a lot more in common than we have different. And it's from that place that if we can stay there, new solutions can emerge. Sounds simple, again, right? But as I always say, we can't solve complicated problems with complicated solutions. It complicates it. The solutions are really simple. Implementing the simple solutions is hard work. And it takes for us to, in this idea of reviving the global heart, what this practice does that we do, which we'll do in a moment, is for us to recognize, where am I still holding on to viewpoints, habits, patterns, and tendencies that are keeping me to contributing to the patterns, either consciously or unconsciously, either actively or passively, to contribute to this idea of the polarization and the separation, so that we can get to a deeper level of bridging, which leads to a deeper sense of more people on this planet feeling like they belong. And on some level, that is the essence of what we can say reviving the global heart is creating a world where more people feel that they're invited to a sense of belonging on a global scale. And in that, how do we start breaking those patterns? So it starts with, if you're starting with the viewpoints I wanted to talk about today, is in the meditation that we do, which we do pretty much the same with some variations, is because in the repetition of the meditation over and over again in the practice, we go into deeper aspects of it that we think, oh, I got this. I know who my adversaries are, for instance. And as some of you have said, it's like, wow, when I really practice this on a regular basis and I go to a deeper contemplation of it, my whole sense of adversary changes. Or I realize where I'm not activating a certain understanding of how I'm contributing to what unconsciously placing people in the category of adversary. So it's a personal process that we can take responsibility for to be part of the change. And that is an important aspect of the meditation, is understanding how we consciously and mostly unconsciously in a reactive place label things and people. And I want to talk a bit about, so we break it down into loved ones, strangers, and adversaries as a way of categorizing all human beings. Of course, we can categorize them in many different ways, but there's reasons for looking at that and how quickly we do that. And it's coming from a lot of the traditions that I've been taught, that if you think about it, as soon as you label something, you've created separation and distance from it. And that we are so conditioned in modern Western culture to label things. If you think about it, the whole practice of psychology is, all it does is basically classify human behavior, human conditioning. It's just classifying, and is this a person schizophrenic? Are they manic depressed? All of that. It's a series, and it's great to do that. Human beings need to discern and create classifications. But it's, again, as soon as you do it, if you look at a tree, and as soon as you think, oh, that's a tree, you've created separation from you and the tree. That's how I see it. I'm not saying it's the truth, I'm saying that's how I see it. And that's where a lot of our reactivity comes and creates the stagnation and polarization, is that we hold on to viewpoints that we have labeled as true, and anything that doesn't come into that, we then label as false or wrong or different. And we do that with people as well. And so one of the teachings that I do in Respectful Confrontation and Fierce Civility is understanding the importance of your own personal contemplation of this idea of my truth does not equal the truth, which is an antidote to self-righteousness, arrogance, and a big part of our conflicts with personally and globally, which is I'm right, and if you have a different viewpoint, you must be wrong. And as many of you know, I say this, that I've given lectures to activists titled, Why Your Need to Be Right is Sabotaging Your Mission. And that the idea is it's not about being right. Yes, the planet is on fire, the planet is suffering. But if you want to talk to people and get people with different viewpoints to start seeing your viewpoints, approaching it from I'm right and you just better agree with me, that ain't working. Because we're all trying that, most of us are trying that, and it's not working, so we got to try something else. So the invitation is to think how quickly we label things and how that instantly creates separation. I'll give you an example. If I hold this up this object, what is it? Anybody want to unmute and tell me what it is?
It's a black piece of plastic that writes.
No, you were close. I mean, in terms of how I see it. How do you know it writes? If you just look at it.
I've seen something like it before.
Oh, okay. You've discerned it from what you've seen before. Someone has taken a black object and written with it. Okay. Okay. Well, that's okay. It's an interesting examination. It's a pen because we've labeled it as pen. That's the only reason why it's pen, and it has the function of pen. But think about it now in terms of how we label people and how we label ideology. What comes mostly to the truth of this object is that it's a black cylindrical object that's made of a substance that's plasticky. That's most accurately true about it. But we've all agreed, because we know what pen is, that it's a pen. But what if a child picks this up, a 1.5-year-old? What do they think it might be? Anybody want to say?
A snack.
A snack, okay. And soon realize it's not a very tasty snack, probably, but yeah, okay.
An ear swab.
An ear swab, yeah.
An airplane.
Surgical probe.
A surgical. Okay.
A magic wand.
Oh, I love that, a magic wand. You knew I would love that one, right?
An airplane.
An airplane, okay. And why is that not true? Why would we, but yet we say, no, that's wrong. It's not a wand. It's not an ear swab, as long as they don't hurt themselves. It could be a toy, right? But we have told it, no, you can't be those things because we have decided that it's pen. What if a dog sees this? What would they think it is?
A chew stick.
A chew stick. Kind of like the kid who sees it as a snack, yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, a toy.
A toy. So why is their truth not true? For them at that moment, this thing is a toy or a chew stick. And for us at that same moment, it's a pen. Some of us, I chew on my pen sometimes, but we don't see it as a chew, we see it as a pen. The point I'm trying to bring up is the thing on itself has the projection of pen on it. That from its own side, it's not necessarily pen, because if a dog doesn't see it as pen and sees it as chew stick, then for them, that's true, it's chew stick. If a child sees it as a magic wand, it's a magic wand, until it learns, or till it's been beaten into them that they have to see it as pen. And yes, it has the function of pen, and we see it as pen. So that's an idea of everyone has their own perspective. And from its own side, all it is a black cylindrical plasticky thing that happens to emit ink when you put one part of it on a paper or a face or a wall. These are just some of the things that I think about, some of the things that I've been studying and contemplating for a long time. I bring that up in the context of reviving the global heart, and our meditation is to really consider how things from their own side are different from what the projection you put on them. So someone that you would consider loved one is loved one because it's your projection of them as loved one. You get into a fight with them and never talk to them again, then suddenly you've projected adversary on them. Someone that 20 years ago or 30 years ago was a stranger to you, you meet, fall in love, and have a relationship, they're suddenly loved one. So they didn't change from their own side. Your label of them changed. Your categorizing them changed. And therefore, I bring that up to consider, and how often we're doing that, is we need to label things and realize that with each label, we separate ourselves from that. How do we get back to overcoming the separation and engaging for it for what it truly is? That's the practice of reviving the global heart. And at the same time to see, wow, if I can look at it from that perspective, it's all on me. I can transform it all. I can be the change. And that it's malleable, that someone that you see as an adversary today can be your greatest ally tomorrow. And that from their side, they're not fixed and concrete in adversariness, or as Shelley would say, adversarialiciousness or whatever. And so that brings possibility and hope. And that's the work of reviving the global heart, that each one of us can do this on a moment-to-moment basis. So I want to offer that as a consideration as we do our practice. You might have some comments or reflections. I would love to hear them, after the practice, and we can reflect on that. So if you can prepare yourself for our practice, let's take a breath. And in this practice, as we always say, there's no right way to do this or wrong way to do this. It's about finding your own way, who you are in this moment, getting into a deeper level of relationship with yourself, your surroundings, and others, cultivating a deeper level of resilience and fierce compassion. So finding a way to sit where your spine is straight without being rigid. So you might not want to lean against the back of your chair, but sit up a little further, where you're elongating from the back of your neck as well. Your jaw's relaxed, your belly's relaxed. Taking a moment to cultivate a deeper level of listening, of centeredness, grounding, presence, and connection. Bringing your attention now to your core, your center, and your lower belly, approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and 1/3 of the way into the body. See if you can bring your full attention to this spot. It's your center of gravity, impulse, creativity, personal power, and your center of awareness, how you perceive your reality. And from those of you who have been working with me for a while, who understand the practice of cultivating resilience and from Qi practices, seeing your dantian, in your lower belly, your core, as a kind of a battery where you can charge, which you can charge up. And in terms of resilience, is knowing that if your battery is full, then you always have energy for the great, beautiful work you're doing in the world, and may never need to burn out. So checking in with your battery, like you would do with your phone, if you want to make it through the day without losing power in your phone, how charged are you right now? Be honest, it's discernment. You're 10%, 80%, and see if this practice can help you charge your battery. So from your center, becoming aware of your physical body. Just noticing, so all you're doing is listening from your center. What is that to listen from my center? Awareness. How is the body talking to me? Without labeling or judging or categorizing, simply gather the information through sensations, through rhythm of breath, heartbeat, tension, relaxation. All sensations and experiences are welcome. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. What emotions are you present to right now? Just trying to do your best to be specific. knowing that all emotions are welcome as we cultivate presence, awareness, balance, and flow, allowing energy and emotions to flow without judgment. From your center, become aware of your thoughts without attaching to the thoughts. Simply from your center, becoming aware of your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts. Maintaining a connection with your core as the foundation of the practice, and now bringing awareness to your heart or the middle of your chest where your heart power resides. Curiosity, compassion, connection, understanding. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of that part of you that may connect with something larger than yourself. And from that part of you, becoming aware of, in this moment, what that connection might be with something larger than yourself. It could be something spiritual, could be humanity, could be your highest values or human beings' highest values. How do you know you have that connection? Where do you feel that? How do you experience that? With more of an awareness of yourself in this present moment, physically, emotionally, mentally, maybe spiritually. From your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. With more of awareness of yourself in this present moment, building on your relationship with the present moment from your center and from your heart, become aware of your surroundings, keeping your eyes closed. That practice of experiencing your surroundings without labeling things. If you hear a sound, try to hear the sound and not say, oh, that's a bird. Simply hear the sound. If you feel that it's warm in your surroundings, just feel the warmth and not say, oh, it's so hot here. And how are you being influenced by the surroundings, and how are you influencing the surroundings? Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. From your center and from your heart, with more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings, take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, with more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, become aware of those in this meditation circle. 30 plus people, various parts of North America, various parts of Europe, maybe other parts of the world. What are you experiencing, feeling, noticing as you open your awareness from your heart and your personal power to those in this meditation circle? Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. With more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Doing a little inventory at this moment. Has the practice so far influenced your percentage of how charged your battery is? As you've engaged in a deeper way with yourself, your surroundings, and those sharing this idea of reviving the global heart. Building on the present moment with an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of all human beings, and beginning with those human beings that you would label loved ones. Who arises in your heart? Why do you label them as loved one? What assumptions have you made that puts the label of loved one on them? And if you have one person in particular, can you see behind the label and see them really see them in some level for who they are, free of the label of loved one? Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings on this planet that you would label as stranger. Noticing who arises in your heart, maybe faces or groups of people. Just opening to the curiosity of the assumptions you've made that labeled them as stranger. Why? And who are they beyond that label? What do you experience in them if you have one particular person in mind? And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings on this planet that you would label as adversary. Who arises in your heart? And why? What assumptions are you making that label them as adversary? And who might they be beyond that label of adversary? Activating your curiosity, compassion, allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. With more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, those in this meditation circle, and all human beings, regardless of how you label them as loved one, stranger, or adversary. From your center and from your heart, take a full deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Once again, allowing energy to flow, emotions to flow, checking in with your battery, receiving the effects of this practice so far as you cultivate a deeper relationship with yourself, your surroundings, and others. noticing the effects of your practice so far, and see if you can hold on to this, maybe a sense of expansion, openness, open-heartedness, presence, as we narrow our focus. So in essence, holding now all human beings in your heart. It's this slight momentary practice of imagining that all the labels fall away as you hold all beings in your heart. What might that be like? Taking all human beings with you in your heart as you bring your focus now back to those in this meditation circle. And imagining in this circle of meditators that we share that with each other now, a shared experience of holding all human beings in our hearts, free of judgment, free of labels. Direct experience and perception of all beings. With gratitude and reverence, now taking all those in this meditation circle into your heart. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of your surroundings. If it feels appropriate, endowing your surroundings with all human beings that's in your heart. And bringing your surroundings into your heart as you bring that all back to yourself, from your center and from your heart, connecting with yourself. Allowing that to fill you, all of your cells, feeding your organs, energizing your nervous system, and filling up your battery of your core. Just doing a quick inventory of who you are right now, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Notice if there's a difference between now and before the practice. And always with this idea of imagine now from who I am in this moment to walk the world in this way. And as a way to close this practice from your center and from your heart, take a full deep breath in. Before you open your eyes, see if as in this process of the transition from this practice within yourself, use the opening the eyes as a transition from going to not losing yourself as you look at and engage with your surroundings and with the others in this group, staying connected with yourself. So slowly open your eyes. Connecting with yourself, with your surroundings, stretching your body a little bit. And when you engage back to your screen from that same place, engaging with the 30 plus people on this call, staying connected to yourself and your heart. So we started with our motivation. We did our practice. Does anybody want to reflect? We have a few minutes. Anybody thoughts on some of the things I was talking about? Anything that came up for you in the meditation or what's been coming up for you this week?
I have a thought on what you were saying before the meditation began. When you said that when you label something, you create separation, it also occurs for me that when you label something, you vastly oversimplify it. Like when you label, especially something like a person, if you label them a Democrat or you label them a Republican or you label them as gay or straight or something, you focus in on some tiny aspect of who they are and you make it overly significant, and you wipe out the richness of the complexity.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Lee. Thank you for sharing your truth on that. That's beautiful. I mean, I think that's beautiful. It is not beautiful. I find it beautiful.
There's a book that I just finished reading called Why We're Polarized. I recommend it to anybody who wants to delve into that. There's a lot of richness in the book.
Thank you, Lee.
Joe, you know, it reminds me a little bit too of Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow. His notions of system one thinking being the kind of heuristics we apply without even thinking to classify things or to kind of move throughout our day, and system two being where we really have to think, otherwise we miss things that are below the surface or, you know, more complex. So there's value in system one because otherwise we couldn't get through the day without some classifications, but it seems like what I take away is it's that fluidity of then revisiting and being a bit more aware as the environment changes or we change ourselves. Have we really made those classifications correctly? And how can we think about things differently if we thought more deeply?
Yeah, yes, that's what I would say. I mean, from a neurobiology perspective, classifying things is a survival mechanism. We need to do that.
Right.
It's just that's not just, and as Lee was saying, it's not the last stop. It's the first stop on the journey of understanding human beings and connecting.
So we can't just put that away and not think about that anymore? Wow, okay.
Well, I would say let's put it all away, stop thinking about things and start getting in our hearts more, but that's another conversation.
Hey, Joe, this is Bob Minnick.
Mm-hmm.
I did a senior thesis when I was back in school on the phenomenon of man, written by Teilhard de Chardin, a philosopher, and he talks very much about what you're describing of how we can relate to each other by using our minds. And his whole idea is that there will be heaven on earth when we all come together with our minds and support each other as we do with meditation, thinking of 8 billion people, that's going to be our heaven on earth when we can all communicate the way you describe.
I love that, Bob. That's nice. I would like to just offer a viewpoint in terms of reviving the global heart. What if heaven's already on earth? Instead of heaven will be on earth. What if it's the same thing with the pen? Heaven's already on earth. We're just seeing it as earth, right? And there are beings on this planet that see it as heaven already. And it's just, again, is earth fixed from its own side as either earth? No, it's how we perceive it. Just want to offer that and throw that in there.
Thank you.
This is E. First, I want to acknowledge the richness of this conversation and say we could talk all day.
Yes.
And then I want to talk about reflections I've been having on adversary and wrestling. And that every time I go into wrestling with something, I'm creating an adversary, whether it's my body or myself or you or an idea. And sometimes it's fun to have an idea as an adversary, but if I get locked in that, it's a problem. If I get locked in adversary with anything, it's a problem. So I'm really grateful to have that awareness today. And reading again Trungpa's Sacred Path of the Warrior is really helping me with this. And being with you all.
Trungpa, yeah. Thank you, E. Yeah, wrestling is fun, right? Literally, wrestling can be fun. When you look at it from the outside, you could label it as fighting or hostility. But the experience and that sense of what I call benevolent competition is that there's an excitement about supporting each other and becoming our best selves, challenging each other.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the wrestling I'm often doing. So that's not the kind I was referring to.
I know, I get it.
Yeah.
But you
like the fun part.
You named it though. You named it. It's the getting locked and the rigidity in it that you're talking about. Tessa, did you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you. I two things. What you said in the beginning about your truth, or like people's truth. And I always like to say, you know, your own truth, as in, not to say I am right and you are wrong, but more as in, what does your heart say? Like a child or a dog, like, why is that magic one not their truth? And I just really like that thought. And then during the journey, I just, at one point, I think you said something about see everything as one, or I don't know, but it was sort of as if, like, it was just one massive magic white light, and it was just so beautiful. And I think when we connect from the heart, like, it's just wonderful. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Tessa. It's great to have you back, as I said. And it's and that's the practice, right? The more we practice that and can get to that point in our hearts, and it's not just a general idea of we're all one. You know, that's if that would have solved it, we would have already solved it. It's the practice of overcoming the things that keep us from forgetting that we're all one. That's the practice. And that's what you're describing. It's to get to that point where I can hold all beings in my heart, and I can let go of those labels, and for a moment really experience what that could be like. And that's the reviving part. The more we can say that was just a fleeting moment when I really got it, then next week it can be a second, and then the week after that it might be a second and 3/4, et cetera, et cetera. And we start building that muscle, and that's the practice we're all in. So again, this is a rich conversation. Let's keep having it. Feel free to get in touch. Share this with other people. Talk to other people about this. Let's get other people engaged in this conversation, whether they come to hear this meditation or not. You know, have these kind of conversations. This is how we can all be in the practice of reviving the global heart, by talking to people from this way. If you look in the chat, we're making a transition. Oh, Curtis says, thank you. This was a beautiful rite of passage. Thank you, Curtis. Wow. And Pat has added her email address, Patty. It's nice to see you, Patty. It's good to have you here. But we are shifting our link. Zoom is doing its own thing, and we now need to shift the link. So we're gonna. Is it next week? Todd?
Yes, it is next week.
You want to talk about it really quick?
So we are now. It's going to be the practice to revive the global heart. You will see that later today on the website. There will be a newsletter that goes out next Monday, all with the new Zoom link. And thank you for those who have sent an email in. I will send you an email with this information. And this is coinciding with the change of direction for this practice and Zoom's policy of no longer having video conferences without an embedded passcode. So this has been around for a couple of years before the embedded passcodes.
Yeah.
So how will we get the passcode?
It's in the link that's in the chat right now.
You just need the link. If you can copy that.
Yep.
And if you're not on our mailing list and would like to be, please, maybe you can put your email address now in the chat. We can add you to our mailing list. As I always say, it's great to have you. Keep coming back. If you know people who would be interested in this, please share it. We are now presently have open enrollment for our next Respectful Confrontation Weekend Workshop, which is the 3rd weekend of October. That's on the website. If you're interested in these concepts and learning more practices of standing in your power, speaking your truth, and awakening this sense of open-heartedness as a practice of power, come and join us. And I think that's it. Okay, so let's close just very quickly, just dedicate these energies. It's great to see you all, as I always say, and we as a collective from around the world now, generating this energy, just feeling into the power of that, the gratitude, the generosity of your time and energy and spirit and wisdom and love and heart. in this, and just thinking of that as an energy source that we can now dedicate and focus to parts of yourself that could use that support, to people you know in your life who could use that support, to institutions that are committed to reviving the global heart in their own way. May they succeed and flourish. To this practice, may it succeed and flourish. To all those people on the front lines, being of support to those in need at this moment, may they have this energy for their own well-being and flourishing and resilience. And may all governments and leaders govern from a place of wisdom as opposed to fear and greed. And may all beings on this planet have enough fresh water and food to eat, and water to drink and food to eat. Okay, thank you, everyone. Be well.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Joe. Thanks.
Bye, Ophelia.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Hello,
Ophelia.
Ophelia.
Everybody.
Hi, Tom.